Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to our ongoing series of Ask the Broncolor Assistant. This is our 10th session that we've been working with so far, and today we're actually going to be talking about working with the bronControl app. Things are going to be a little bit different today because normally we have a nice live presentation for you, but because we're working on a system that runs on a computer, doing things a little bit live can be troublesome at some point. So we've got a nice video presentation for everybody today. We're going to run that and let everyone ask questions. Please, if this is your first time joining us, welcome. If it's not your first time joining us and you're coming back, welcome back. If you do not already, please make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe, all the things Broncolor USA. That's probably going to be the easiest way to know when we're going to be in your area and when we're going to be having webinars such as these here. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest host today, Francis Westfield. Francis is a longtime photo assistant and digital technician to many legendary New York City photographers. He estimates that he has been on over 4,000 pro shoot days through his 40 years in the industry. But today he is bronColor's technical sales manager, and he wants to offer his many years of on-set experience and quality to photographers such as yourself. So without further ado, Francis Westfield, everybody.
I'm muted. Blake, thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate it. And welcome, everybody. It's very nice to be here. I hope you get a lot out of our demonstration today on bronControl. It's a fantastic app that makes life working with the Siros or Scoro units so much easier. And, I hope you enjoy this. So if there's any questions, please feel free to ask them. Thank you, Blake.
All right, sounds great. So without further ado, we are going to run our video process here. Like I said, please, during the video, make sure you ask your questions in the Q&A section, and then we will have a nice proper Q&A after the fact as well. So thanks, everybody, and we will see you back in just a moment.
Today, I'm going to give a small demonstration on how to use our app, bronControl. bronControl is an amazing app that works with our Siros and Scoro units that are Wi-Fi enabled. It's a free app, and it gives you so many options to wirelessly control the lights that some features are not even on the Siros units that are on bronControl. So let's go, and I'll show you exactly what to do. I'm going to work with two Siros 800L units. And I'm going to work on my Apple laptop computer. You can work with this on an iPad, iPhone, Android device. When you work with bronControl, it's best if your computer, iPad, or iPhone does not fall asleep. So on my laptop, the first thing I'm going to do is come up to my system preferences, and then I'm going to go into Energy Saver. And I want to make sure that these two prevent computer from sleeping and put hard disk to sleep are checked. So for both the power adapter and the battery, those two are checked, and I should be good to go. So I can click out of quit the system preferences. The next thing is I'm actually going to make sure that both of my Siros lights are turned on and that the Wi-Fi is connected, and that I'm going to choose studio address 1 for both of them, and then one lamp I'm going to put on lamp address 3, and the other lamp is going to be lamp address 4. And I think you'll see why in just a minute. So with those on, the next thing I have to do is pick the Wi-Fi network. Because the lamps have Wi-Fi cards in them, it's going to put out a Wi-Fi address. Should be Bron-Studio 1 is what I'm looking for. The first time that you activate this, it will ask you for a passcode, and it's only the first time. The password is very simple. It's bronControl in lowercase except for the C. So it's B-R-O-N, capital C, and T-R-O-L. And I'm going to launch the bronControl app. Okay, it's okay to say allow for this. Okay. Bron Demo 0 is always there. And then Bronze Studio 1 has come up and it's active blue. And I'm going to activate it. Now, these two squares that you see represent the two Siros lights that I have. They've putting out their own Wi-Fi signal, and I see them. That's great. Okay, so you've got your global controls up here, and then each square is a representation of the light itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you that if I click on, let's come up here first. The global, right now, every light will change in power when I click on this and go in 1/10 stop increments. So I'm raising the power level in 1/10 stop increments on everything. If I had 3 more lights here, they would all change at the same time. Okay, I'm going to go back down to 0. Okay, now if I clicked on one light and I did that same, it would only be that light here, which is lamp address 3 right now. 3 is indicated here, and the purple color is the cognition light, and I'll get into that in just a second. But that one lamp has changed from power level 2 to power level 5 by me changing it. And if I needed to change everything again, I come right up here and it's changing accordingly in a global fashion. Okay, that's good. What I'm going to do is you can have the model lights can go on and off. You can put the mono heads or the packs into standby if you'd like. Or as Recker likes to say, he likes to go for a cup of coffee and he puts them in standby. They come right back on when you hit that. This is the test button that will fire all the lights when you press that. Okay, and the real estate here, you just scroll over here and you have other menus, more, speed, audio, cognition light, which I kind of just mentioned, and then the RFS control, which you can turn on or off. I'm going to keep it on. Okay, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to skip more for just a second. I'm going to go into speed and explain what that is. This is a feature on the Siros lights that doesn't necessarily show on the back of the Siros control panel. It's showing me right now at my power level of 2.5 that I have 1/3470th of a second flash duration. So if I need to obtain a faster flash duration, I can press this speed button up here and both lights will go up to now above 1/8000th of a second. There is a small sacrifice in color. You'll go slightly blue. It is recommended that when you use the speed button, and notice that the power level is not changing, I'm keeping it exactly where I had set it. So you don't have to sacrifice the speed to go for faster flash duration, or shorter flash duration, I should say. But there is a small cutoff that goes towards the blue. So you will want to do another gray balance, especially shooting digitally, of course. Okay, so I'll leave that alone, but that is a feature that you don't see on the back of the Siros heads, the Siros monolights, that is available here. It's one of the features that shows on the bronControl app. Rather like that. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. Audio, self-explanatory. If I were to hit my test button, incidentally, the space bar on my computer is also the test button. And individually, if I want to test each light, I can just hold down on this square, hold down on this square, and it fires just that light. Provided you do not have the cell on for your other subsequent lights, only that light will fire. Oops, go back there. Okay, so there is more up here which will show sequence, and if I, it's going to be hard to show you sequence right now because you don't see the lights itself, but you can turn the sequence on, you can put a delay, and you could even put an interval on that. Very fun stuff that you can't do actually, again, you can only do through bronControl, a nice feature. More also has free mask and alternate. Free mask is a way of silhouetting your product shots onto your background, and that's a way of choosing this. We'll go in another video in detail about free mask. Okay. The cognition lights and the lamp addresses. I said before that I started with lamp 3 and lamp 4 subsequently. So right now, globally, everything will change, and you can swipe and go full stop increments. Okay, now if I needed a group of lights, let's say I had 4 of these on here and they would show up, and I needed 2 background lights to be the same, I could come into the More menu on lamp address 4. I'll change this now to lamp address 3 and press return. As you see, now group 3 came up with the same cognition light and the same number 3 in that little square in the corner there. So if I were to press on that, group 3 is now working all in conjunction. Now, what I'd probably want to do is I'd want to even these lights out. I'll go in individually. I'll bring this down to an even power level of, let's say, 5. I'll bring this up to 5. And now my background lights, if they're evenly spaced, they're firing. And let's say I needed to bring it up a half stop altogether. And that's how I do that. And there's 40 different lamp addresses, 99 different studio addresses. So there's a lot you can do with bronControl with your Siros. Cognition lights on the Siros, they are not on the Scoro, and they're simply a glow in an acrylic on the back of the light that gives you a visual representation of what lamp address you're at right now. I find this really, really helpful in studios that you might have a complex set and you might have several lights for the background, several lights for each side, a hair light, and you can designate them by the 5 different colors that we have. Okay, so each head has a more switch, which we've already done a little bit. You can put that head into standby. And of course I didn't get it working. Okay, now it goes. So I put one side into standby, and then I just click it and turn it out. Okay, we're good. Interval, lots of other things that you can play with in here. Oh, I'd like to show you this. So I said that this is going to be, these 2 lights are now grouped in 3. I'm going to indicate which one is my left and which one is my right by tagging these. So I'm going to tag this and I'm going to say left BGD for background. Okay. And right here, left background. Do the same to the right background now. Sorry, I don't type fast, guys. My apologies. Okay, so now I have my left background, my right background. If I, for any reason, needed to just go in and say the left background needs to go up 2/10 of a stop, as they say, Bob's your uncle, and I can do it just that way. Okay. In another video, we should talk more about free mask and alternate, and also private mode versus enterprise mode. Right now, I'm working in the private mode, which is an ad hoc mode that allows me to connect directly to the lights. So I'm on my computer here, I don't have internet access. However, there is a way to go into enterprise mode and connect to the Wi-Fi that you might have in the house. Okay? I'm in a hotel right now, so I can't do it right now. We'll do it in another video and show you what that's like. It's real nice, and it takes a little bit of setup, but once it's there, it works really well. Okay. And also, this is a zoom that can show you the size of the light icons. And you can also display in joules if you wish. And it has a light cognition light on or off switch here. Again, another redundancy. And I like to keep this around 180%, something like that. And there you go.
All right, and welcome back, everyone. Hope that was as informative as we would like to be there. Of course, now we're going to have some Q&A, but before we get there, I want to address a couple of things. One, during the video sequence there, Francis had mentioned sequence mode, alternate, and free masking. If you remember last month, our webinar was on free masking, which gives you a little bit more of a good idea of showing how that works. And don't worry, we do have a sequence and alternate mode video that will be coming very shortly. Also, as well, we do have a video on enterprise mode, which will be coming up as well. So now, for the rest of our time together today, we're going to have an open Q&A session about bronControl and see what we can do to answer your questions. So Francis, are you ready for your first question?
Absolutely, Blake.
All right. So David in the chat says, my question is, let's say I have two lights for a portrait, a background light and a key light. How can I test what one light is doing by using an RFS 2.2 remote? In other words, I want to be able to turn one of the lights off so I can see how the other light is lighting the subject.
Was that an RFS 2.1 or 2.2, did he say?
2.2.
2.2. Okay. So you can test, I believe you can test that light. As long as the cell is not on the subsequent light, I believe you can. Well, I would go into bronControl and actually just fire the light by pressing the icon. Can I share my screen and show that again?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Because if you fire both lights, you'd on the RFS 2.2, you'd actually have to go and change the studio address for each light, and that's a little bit complicated. So I would do it this way. I'm going to share my screen and share the bronControl window.
And while we're getting that turned on, yes, I'm going to agree with Francis on this case.
Yeah.
We want to use the bronControl app to set each light's cognition or group number in this case. And then I would make sure the cells are off, and I would test each one individually.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm in bronControl right now. I have two Siros 800Ls. They're actually in standby. I'm going to take them off of standby. And because the cells are not active, actually the cells are active on one of my lights. Let me turn that off. You know what? I'll do it from bronControl. So we get a little bit more. See, cell is on right there. I'm going to disable the cell. So that was there right then. RFS should be on. Let's just make sure everything's good. Okay. All right. So I would actually just come in. Let's say this light here, which is my right background. I just press on that, and although you can't see it, just that light is now firing. If I needed to go to this light, just bring the cursor right into the middle and hold down, press and hold down. I'm actually pressing and holding down on my trackpad on my computer here. But if you were on your iPhone, you would just put your finger on that and press and hold. David, does that answer your question?
I think so. If there were any further questions, definitely let us know, and we can answer that as well. While we're waiting for that response, because I know it can be a couple of seconds, Stuart asks, does this only work with the Siros line, or is there one for Scoro as well?
Oh, the Scoro Wi-Fi units will definitely work with bronControl. Absolutely. Wi-Fi is built into the Scoro unit, so bronControl will work with Scoro and Siros. My demonstration today is just with Siros units active, but if I had Scoros here right now, they would show up basically here or here. And that is the pack, and then the subsequent heads would follow.
And as well, for anyone that's using our LED F160 monolights as well, the bronControl app can control those as well.
Absolutely. Should have mentioned that.
Another question we have from Terry. Does each Siros have RFS built in?
That's a yes.
That was an easy one.
Sorry. Do you want to go? Do you want to go any more about that? RFS is built into it. The cell is built into it. Cannot work with an older IR remote with the Siros though, but that's going back quite a few generations.
Terry follows up and says, so there would be no need to activate cell. And really, I think we can kind of both answer that one as well. I think that that's going to depend on your particular workflow. If you are going to be photographing items that are going to be, perhaps having your lamps in multiple locations, having a cell on is definitely not a bad idea. I believe Galvin actually mentioned that in one of our previous webinars where he was talking about controlling our packs as well. But of course, if you are wanting to control everything through our RFS remotes, yes, you don't necessarily have to have the cell on at that point.
Blake, I'd like to elaborate on that just a little bit.
Of course.
Let's say you were outside in bright sunlight on the beach. There's a lot of bright sun coming down. There's a lot of kick from the sand coming up. Sometimes cells go a little haywire, and that's just the nature of them. And they could be firing the lights. So turning off the cell and just using the RFS, as I think David was kind of alluding to, in his original question, that might be an advantage right there. And that's why you can turn it off and have the control. But you're right. Every situation is going to require a different type of scenario solution.
Perfect. Okay. So, any other questions? Definitely now is the time. We're happy to answer what we can and see what we can do to bring you more familiar with this wonderful bronControl app. Of course, we're showing the Mac version here, but there also is an iOS version for your iPad and iPhones, as well as an Android version for your Google devices. So most certainly you've got the ability to utilize this tool. Oh, and did I mention that it's free? There's no cost associated with picking up this tool. So definitely give it a try. There's no reason not to. And looks like Adrian in the chat has some questions about updating some Scoro units. What I would say, Adrian, is that probably would be a better topic for offline. So what we'll do is we will reach out with some contact information and see what we can do to get you resolved there. And looks like David in our Q&A session says, I like the app, but it would be nice to be able to disable one light or another from the RFS unit. Definitely, we appreciate that feedback, David, and I will pass that along to our engineering team to see what we might be able to do in future products and future revisions. So thank you for the feedback. Okay. Anything else? So definitely we appreciate you coming out. We don't want to make it too terribly short today, but we want to certainly, like I said, certainly answer your questions. So please let us know. Okay, so looks like there's no other questions that are coming through. Terry says, broncolor never disappoints. Absolutely, that's what we're here for. No disappointment at all.
Blake, can I answer that last question?
Of course, go for it.
You absolutely can disable the RFS on single units alone. I'll demonstrate here if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so let me share my screen. Let me go back. Just 1 second, folks. Okay, so RFS is on both of these. It Let me do that again. So if I went to this light that's at 3.0 level right now, it's actually my right background. It gets a little mixed up sometimes, but we're talking to the Swiss about that. So if I wanted to disable the RFS, which is on right now, just come into flash control and disabled right there. Okay, so RFS is not there. And if I were to trigger my RFS trigger right now, only this light would fire. And you have the ability to do that per light individually. Or you could turn off your RFS up here if they were both on. I think I have a little glitch right now, but if I restarted the program, I know that RFS would come up. So.
All right, so I think I'm checking over our Q&As here. I'm not seeing anything else that's jumping up here. So I guess let's go ahead and sort of start taking things in for a landing here. First off, thanks again for joining us. We definitely do appreciate you coming out and spending some afternoon with us here. Glad that we were able to show off the bronControl app and what it is good for here. Thank you again for Francis for stepping in for Galvin for the next couple of months here. If you attended the previous, let's go ahead. If you attended the previous webinar, you know that Galvin is having a baby with his wife pretty much any time now. So when that happens, of course, we want to give him as much time as possible to to rest, relax, and bond as much as we can. So Francis will be joining us for the next couple of months here. We've got some real fun stuff that's going to be coming up over the next couple of months. If you have been watching and looking, you will see that we've been holding assistance trainings in select cities across the United States. Francis and I are actually going to work on recording one of those trainings for you so that if you aren't able to attend yourself, you'll have the ability to get the same knowledge and information. And definitely, if you do see one of those trainings coming to a city near you, we highly recommend to come out. It's totally worth your time. So I guess that should be it. So thank you all again for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.